In many ways, my parents were very self-sufficient. They were very much from the make, do and mend and dig for victory era. They had a farm, they had a vegetable garden, they had cows and chickens, and every day my dad would dip a jug of milk from the tank, and so I grew up drinking very creamy Guernsey milk. Gold top, I think they refer to it in the shops. None of your semi-skimmed. As well as the extensive vegetable patch, the farm was well supplied with plum trees, apple trees, pear trees, damson trees, sloe trees, and a quince tree. Yes, I'm not really sure we made that much use of the quince tree, or the sloes, or the damsons for that matter, apart from using them as ammunition to throw at my older brother, of course. Although I never consciously thought of it, my parents knew about nature, when to plant and when to harvest. And so dinners did have its variations depending on the seasons. I remember well exciting desserts such as gooseberry fool, blackcurrant flummery, rhubarb crumble, apple tea. Dinners were always cooked on the Rayburn, which was a log-fueled oven. To change the temperature, you opened up the bottom, put more wood on. All the wood came from the farm, and every year wood cutting was a major activity. As well as fresh fruit, there was always a good supply of preserves, jams and chutneys, all stored in a big yellow cupboard in the porch, labelled and dated. The freezer was also crammed full of gooseberries, plums and blackcurrants. Every year we'd pick hundreds and thousands from trees and bushes, piling them high into saved ice cream tubs. However, as lovely as it sounds, all of these homegrown fruit and vegetables do have their hazards, and one had to be vigilant at dinner times. Finding a bright green, freshly cooked caterpillar inside the cabbage being one. My aunt once recalled a story of a similar experience when she had found such a caterpillar and moved it politely to the edge of her plate. It was only at the point when she'd finished her meal she realised the caterpillar could no longer be found. Whether it had crawled off by itself or she'd accidentally eaten it, we will never know. Of course, when you did get something unexpected in your vegetables, my dad would always say, "Well, that's all right, extra protein." Once I spotted this amazing red apple high in a tree. Although I was good at climbing, it was far too high to climb. And I spent an afternoon repeatedly hurling sticks at the tree until finally, I knocked it to the ground. And I was so pleased and so excited to take a bite out of this amazingly juicy red apple. And as I took my first bite, I realised it was literally full of wriggling maggots. You know, when I'm telling this, it does sound like some kind of life lesson metaphor. After a particularly strong year for apples, as well as storing apples in the shed all separated out, my dad made cider. He used the hot press in the Ouse to crush the apples and took a couple of the teeth out of the gears in the process. Well, it hadn't been used for a long time and was probably a bit of a shock to the system. I'm told that cider was pretty potent stuff, but I didn't try any. One thing I did enjoy was my dad's homemade ginger beer. Although brewing ginger beer does sound like rather a gentle occupation, it does come with its own risks. And whilst all the bottles were stored in a little passage near the back door, from time to time the pressure of those chemical reactions would become too much, and you'd hear the sound of exploding ginger beer echoing through the house in the early morning. Before the farm had been a dairy farm, there had been hop gardens, and my dad had a family story from that time. During hop picking season, there had been a particular teapot that was used to service the tea breaks in the hop gardens. That year, the teapot hadn't been pouring particularly well, and every day, Uncle Jim or whoever it was said, "I'll sort that teapot out," but they never quite got round to it. Not until right towards the end of hop picking season, and precious time was given over to locate the cause of the obstruction. Perhaps a build-up of tea leaves, they thought. But after close examination inside the spout, they found the skeleton of a mouse. They'd been drinking mouse tea all hop picking.